HarperAudio New Zealand presents Northbound, written by Naomi Arnold and read by Naomi Arnold. Author's note. This is a work of non-fiction. Some names, places, and personal details have been changed to preserve individuals' privacy. For Douglas, who walked with me. Chapter 1. Bluff to Riverton. On the drive from Invercargill to Bluff that summer day, I saw my first Te Araroa walker. She was around 60 and struggling north, laden with a huge blue backpack. She would have already walked 20 kilometres from the trail's start at Stirling Point that day and had another 12 kilometres to go until she reached Invercargill. In the moment I glimpsed her from the passenger seat, she looked desperately sore, walking with a rolling, painful gait. It was like she carried an invisible piano on her back. I flashed past in the car, saw her shambling along the footpath in a private world of pain, and then she was gone. That'll be me soon, I thought. I looked out the window at the TY Point aluminium smelter smoking on the horizon, at the large pylons marching along the skyline. A sign hoisted into some trees read, "When the truth comes out, you can't just unvax your children." A grey ute overtook us, sporting a bumper sticker, "Send nudes." Another ute followed it, a brand new orange Ford Ranger with the licence plate Dominator, roaring towards the bottom of the country. Next to me, in the driver's seat, Doug pointed out the Longwood Range to the west, 85 kilometres along the trail. Its 764-metre summit would be my first decent hill. "Huh," I said, twisting in my seat to look. "I'm going that way?" "Haven't you thought this through?" "I'm not that good with directions." "Jesus, Naomi, you're not filling me with confidence." Otherwise, we were mostly silent on the drive south, the weight of the entire country looming above us. We'd flown from Nelson that morning. Doug was staying in Invercargill for a couple of days to see me off, but once we'd arrived in the city, I was too excited to wait and wanted to start walking right away. We got the last car park at Stirling Point. It was the final days of 2023, and the famous yellow and white signpost marking the end of the country was crowded with sightseers. But I was the only hiker, and the signpost was my beginning. I smiled at an extended family of about 20, the adults struggling to get all the kids looking at the camera at the same time, as one of the dads fiddled with the tripod and self-timer, calling directions and rushing back and forth to capture himself in the shutter's click. Doug and I watched the procession at the signpost for a bit, and then took our turn at photos before walking along a path to the small, rocky beach. I crouched to run my hand through the water and tossed a few pebbles into the sea, then picked up another handful and pocketed them. "You're carrying rocks up the country?" Doug said. He held out his hand and took them from me. "To keep until you get home safe." If I do, I thought, but I didn't voice it. Fear had been stabbing my gut for the last few weeks. I am not coming home. I cannot walk the length of the country alone for 6 months. I will die out there. I am in my last year of life on Earth. The thoughts felt real to the point of certainty. They felt like prophecies. I knew he had fears too, but neither of us bothered to mention them anymore. "Well, I guess I should go do this," I said, hoisting my pack. Doug walked me back to the signpost and offered a last warning. "If the Alpine fault goes while you're on this walk, stay out of the waterways," he said. "Watch out for rivers drying up." "What? Why?" "If a river's dried up, then you'll know there's a slip further up and it's dammed. It could go at any moment." Of all the very specific worries I had, abduction, murder, snapping my femur and the bone tearing through my skin, falling and striking my head in a river and then drowning, unconscious, this particular set of circumstances seemed a fairly remote possibility, but I nodded. I gripped the cold, white metal pole of the signpost, and then Doug walked me to the start of the steps that wound up onto the bluff Motopuhui. I stood there, gazing up the steps curving through a green arch of vegetation, then looked back at him. He gave a little wave, his face collapsing in grief and dread. "Bye," I squeaked. "Bye," he managed. What am I doing? I turned around, feeling a bit sick, and started up the steps. I had 3,028 kilometres to go. From here,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?